G'day gang, Simo and Ed back again for another episode of the Fast Line Track Growth Show, where we talk all things karting and business.
Cool.
So this week, we're going to talk about one of our favourite subjects, aren't we?
A favourite, yes.
Yes, sales. We're going to give you a 101 lesson on sales.
Yeah, well, and perhaps not the actual wording and things like that, but there's about a dozen things that you really need to be thinking about if you're going to make the best of your sales opportunities that will present themselves at the track. So you can't just leave it to chance and sales will be ticking through. You're never quite sure though if more sales could have been made if you get some of these factors we're about to discuss. Get them nailed down, get the staff to understand them. Just make sure that after you've done all the hard work and the expense of getting somebody to come over to your track, you've done your best then to, allow them to go and spend some money with you.
So, the first one is get in your zone.
This is true.
It's all about mindset, isn't it?
It can be mindset, it can be attitude, but the mindset's a biggie in sales. I mean, cracky, we could do a whole hour on that. It's just about making sure that the attitudes are correct as well, and that, particularly in a B2C environment, you haven't got people that are just moping around your track when somebody's trying to spend a little bit more money with you, and they almost feel like, they're being ripped off because of the way that somebody hasn't responded. If you've got that upbeat, fun environment nailed down, and you've got people in their zone ready to go and make the most of any opportunity, you're going to just do a lot better with this.
So you've got to be energised, you've got to have positive outlook.
Yeah, you've got to be aware as well of the key trigger points that somebody's actually trying to spend some money with you. I've walked out of shops before, in particular B2C environment, where I've had my credit card in my pocket. I've been there waiting to come and buy something, and they've just been distracted or wandered off. Okay, can spend my money somewhere else down the road then. Yeah. So it does happen. You've got to keep your staff switched on and focused on the fact that sales are important. Yeah, lifeblood of business. Yeah.
Second one, don't puke all over your customers.
This is a biggie, isn't it?
and we're not talking, actually be sick on them. We're talking, don't puke on them. So it's about your customer. It's not about you. They don't care about you and how great your business is and all of that. They just want to know what's in it for me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we always hear, we haven't said it for a while in a few videos, but we always hear about we've got the longest track and the biggest engine. Right now, it might be appropriate to mention that occasionally if it's of interest to that specific customer. Yeah. But on the whole, most people aren't that interested. They're probably more interested in overtaking, beating their friend, all the rest of it. So if somebody's coming up and they're making an inquiry, for example, at the track, you'd want to be more selective about the information that they're looking for and just share what is important to them, not what you think is important to them, and therefore puking your words all over your customer. But don't puke over your customers.
And you've got to remember that we suffer running your own business or working in your business, your company. You suffer from the curse of knowledge.
Yes.
You know everything about your product, your service, your business, and you forget the customer doesn't.
Well, that's true.
So, you some very basic things like, that's a gas pedal and that's the stop pedal. You push that one to go faster and you push that one to stop. That's a seat. This is a steering wheel.
It is possible.
But, we suffer from the curse of knowledge and we don't often think like the customer.
Yeah, because
or
you
at
might
customer's level.
You might want to talk about all the greatest stuff that you've done, or the fact that you've just had all the whole place has just been swept, and it's the cleanest it's ever been since we've ever had it. Well, you know what, the customer probably isn't really interested, and I know it can be a big deal for the business owner because they've made all this effort. But some of the biggest things you do in terms of your effort just aren't relevant to the customer. So be selective about what you're talking to them about during your sales process.
Yeah. Next one, I like the next one. Create a script, but don't use it.
Yes. It's really important. This is the key to sales, really. You do need to have a script. So what happens when a customer says, is there anywhere to get a drink around here? right? There's a sales opportunity there. How do your people at the track respond to somebody saying that? You probably need a script, but also you don't want it to sound robotic. I'm glad you have asked about drinks. It is over 30 metres
We have a plethora of drinks on our drink list.
Exactly. So what you need them to do is have a script, because that's part of the training and it's part of your intellectual property, so that's hugely valuable to your business. So it's a really smart thing to have. But then you need to get your staff trained regularly. This is really good in the huddles in the morning. This week we're going to focus on this sentence, so that everybody's getting into the spirit of how we therefore upsell potentially in that instance where they're asking for drinks. But it doesn't sound like they get quite the same response from everybody. You'd recognise what's coming from everybody's mouth, but there'll be the odd word in there that's missed or added in. So it's actually the character of the person as well. So have a script, because that's part of your training. Don't use it. If sales start to dip down on the bar, for example, but you know people are asking, you've then got a fantastic opportunity to go and re-examine the scripts and then go and change it subtly so that you can bring back your sales back to at least where they were, hopefully back and beyond, and up and onwards from there.
Next one. We're up to what, 0.5?
No, we're up to 0.4.
We're up to
We're already a little bit fast. 0.4 is stop selling and start having fun. Yes.
All right.
This really is on the back of, you've got your script and you've got that sorted, right? Now, nobody likes to be sold to.
But everyone loves to buy.
Jeffrey.
Thank you, Mr. Gittimer.
Jeffrey Gittimer. We love him. Put a link in for one of his books. It's amazing stuff. But it's so true. Nobody likes to be sold to, but mysteriously everybody's spending money and buying stuff. So if you come across as salesy or spotting every line, and you're coming out with some smart-ass line around, you know, upping sales, and it's bloody obvious, all of a sudden you've got a problem, you've got disconnect, and you'll push your customers away. So you very much got to instill that sense of fun and wonder around, you know, oh, is there any way we can get a drink? Oh, fantastic, you're stopping with us for the evening. It's like a really great first response there. Well, let me tell you, it's over there. What sort of drinks do you like? Oh, we're really into beers. We've got a fantastic beer on draft today. Like, in fact, I'll walk you over. Would be a really great sales. That's sales, but nobody would understand.
Nobody would recognise it as sales.
Yeah, you haven't recognised it as sales, and equally that bit about having fun. Oh, you're staying with us for the evening. Fantastic. So just relaxing into the actual sale itself and spotting the opportunity and how you go around it. Start to have a bit of a laugh and a joke. If there's younger kids there, and are you having beers today? Excellent. There's some really fantastic beers. Or the one that I see on holiday quite often is the kids will have a Coke. The Colas are available. And they'll come up to the table and you see the waiters, they go, vodka Coke, and they put it down in front of the kids. But obviously there's no vodka in there, it's a bit of a wheeze when you're on the holiday. I've seen that done a few times. So whatever is appropriate for you, you can have a bit of a laugh, bit of fun with it, but make it part of your sales process. Just don't make it bloody obvious that you're selling.
Yeah. 0.5, this sort of follows on from that. Don't sound like a salesperson.
Yeah, we've hinted at it already, but seriously, as soon as somebody gets a sense that they're being sold to, I'm a bugger for this, because I've been in sales a lot of my life. When I'm sat down with people, I'm like, ooh, interesting. You put an alternate close in there. And I start pointing stuff out. Usually if you're in like the bank or somewhere or like that, I will spot stuff and I go, oh, interesting. And you can see Deb's, bless her, going, here we go. You used an alternate clothesline there. Why do you do that in there? Because I'm really interested in how they've got Deb's is going, can we just get the finance deal, or can we just eat at the restaurant? Or that, please stop analysing what's going on around you. But those poor buggers, you see them freeze sometimes, like they're like, shit, I've just been found out. Whereas I'm like, no, this is cool. Have you got a script? Because I want to know. And I'm like, that, did they give you a script here? Oh, brilliant. Is there any chance I can have a read? Because I'm really intrigued in the whole process. But, I mean, obviously their credibility and the ability for them to go and generate sales off me has greatly diminished once I've spotted. So, don't sound like a bloody salesperson. Because if you're doing that, you're lost. And if you think about people that come and see you, the suppliers, and they're sat in front of you, and you can spot that they're just here to go and flog you something. You know, perhaps your interest, potentially, you might notice it in yourself starts to wane, unless you're like me and it starts to go straight through the roof. But my ability to buy is diminished, whereas my interest now has been really peaked, because I'm like, well, that's really crap. Have you come up with this line yourself? Do you want some help, like something that will help you better? And if it's a restaurant, Deb's will be going, I'm hungry now. No, you're not having a 1 hour coaching session to go and help this restaurant. Can't help myself.
Number 6.
Know what you're offering.
Know your product, know your service.
Yeah.
Inside and out.
That's right. You've got to be able to interpret what somebody's really asking for. So you want people that are high with empathy in a customer-facing role. Because if somebody comes up and says, I know, I'm just trying to think of a quick example, but where the hell do you keep like the hand tissues? You need to interpret what's going on. You need to know what you have available to you. So, right, are you washing your hands? Have we run out in the toilets? Have you just spilt drinks all over near the bar somewhere? Is there a spillage on the track? And you want me to get my oil off bend 1? Like, what are you really asking? So you need to understand what you have available to go and meet their requirements. Now, that could be something as simple as that. It could be more complex. You know, what's the largest group booking that you can take? Like, the alarm bells and everything should be, right, hang on a minute, that's a very odd question. What are you trying to achieve? Would possibly be a good response there, while they go, well, we're a local company. There's 86 of us work in a building down the road here. How many carts have you got?
Yeah. It's all about asking BGQs, isn't it? Bloody good questions. Find out what they're really trying to achieve.
Yeah, and equally, if you've got an awareness of what you've got on offer and you know it inside and out and how it applies to the questions you're going to get asked, your bloody good questions in response should be crafted to bring about more in sales. So it's a lot of training to get people that work for you to understand and get up to speed, and giving them just the authority as well to go and sort stuff out for you on the fly a little bit. There'll be a hierarchy, I'm guessing. I mean, high up there for go-kart tracks, I'm thinking safety.
Yeah.
Right, that's going to trump all. If I've got somebody coming over and they're asking for help with all their drinks and all the rest of it, but I've got a problem that I can see on the track, I probably want to go and make sure I'm sorting that out first before I come and deal with that. So what happens in that instance? You can start to move away, but I'd probably say something in a bit of training. But knowing what's available to you, understanding how everything fits together, understanding the priorities on where to order things, quite complex. But it all adds up to a fantastic sales environment if you've got staff that can control everything that's coming at them and still maintain building revenues, because this is the sales presentation, whilst keeping everybody safe, or whatever your protocols are.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this can be difficult at kart tracks because the marshals are often 16 to 18-year-olds. Bit scatty, they're there for beer money.
Yep.
You know, is it worth spending a little bit more money and getting a better quality of staff?
Possibly. You need some switch. So, okay, what I've been looking for here is if it was 16 to 18-year-olds, as one example, I just want people that are very high on empathy. Right, so some of the interview questions I'm going to ask them is, are they empathetic? Now I need them to be a little bit brave as well. So if they're brave, and they're brave enough to talk to people of all ages, and ask some BGQs, and sometimes they're tough to ask, bloody good questions.
Yep.
When you get a bit of grey in your hair, you're not too worried about asking even quite prying questions sometimes, because it's done with love, hopefully. You just go and get to the point very, very quickly. But if I can get 16 to 18-year-olds ask bloody tough questions, be high on the empathy scale, and just drill into them what the right response is and let them understand why, I can make it work with a 16 to 18-year-old.
There you go. So there you go, guys. You've been given the first 6 tips on selling.
That's right. Start looking to incorporate some of those. We're going to share a few more with you next week, so very much looking forward to doing that. You don't have to wait for all these ideas to come to the fore. Start incorporating stuff right now. We're going to share a few more with you next week. Start sharing all the good work we've done today with your staff and go and enjoy it for today, for this week.
That's it from us.
We'll
And we'll see you next year. Next
Next
year.
year.
Next week.
We'll see you next year in Dortmund and next week on the videos. See you soon.
See you.
Bye now.
Bye.